Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly and I'm a mixed media artist who specializes in gouache paint, ink work, and sometimes I do other stuff because I have a lot of hobbies. And in this week's video, it's a little bit different. I don't think I've ever done a video where I'm sitting down and just talking instead of doing a voiceover, so that's gonna be interesting. So this video that I'm doing, I'm not gonna lie, I'm burnt out. I am currently in it right now. The fact that I even turned on this camera right now, shocking. The way I got myself to actually turn on the camera and actually, care about my art is I thought about what do I normally do when I'm experiencing this. Now I will say this is what I'm experiencing right now. There's also other stuff going on in my life that is making it worse. So something I usually do when I'm experiencing burnout and really just I am spiraling. That is, when I say burnout, I mean I am truly spiraling, and the burnout is after the spiraling. The spiraling is the what is existence? What am I doing? And a lot of other things. And then when you're done spiraling, that's the burnout. Is when I'm, in my opinion, when I am like, I want to give up, I hate everything, and I also, during this time, really go through a severe lack of creativity. Or something I also experience is that when I do get new ideas, I get really negative towards myself for even entertaining them. Like, I get in this nasty headspace where I'm like, why are you still trying? Like, stop. Like, stop with the ideas. Just stop. And I've definitely been feeling that lately. So something that helps me get through that is a lot of things that I am not qualified to help you guys with. But something that I do that's within my control that helps me with, I don't know, being an artist and experiencing this is looking at my old work. And that's it. Even if I look at my old work and I'm like, this is stupid, whatever, okay, that's something. But it does usually help me to like kind of dip my toes back into art without actually doing art. It's like looking at an old diary. For me, that's a good thing to do when I'm, reflecting and spiraling and then burning out, is looking at my old art diary entries, essentially. So, alright, let's just get started then. I thought I would do a sketchbook tour, basically, and just kind of reflect on every page. I don't think this one is completed. I used it a lot last year while teaching a class that was heavily going through perspective, 1, 2, and 3-point perspective, how to draw things accurately from imagination. I also, in that class, taught how to create shadows that are accurately being cast on the ground in perspective, and things like that. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that in this sketchbook, and so let's just get started, I guess. Sorry, there's a fly that is around me right now and it's really making me angry, but we're just gonna keep moving forward. So this is the first page of the sketchbook, and I believe I did this as a demo for the first, yes, this was for the first day as a warm-up. Now, in art college, which I don't know if I explained that, I also, aside from doing my own artwork and making YouTube videos, I'm also an adjunct art professor. So this class is a lot of like the demos I did and other stuff too. I also have some of my personal work in here too. The first day of that class, I wanted to have the students do really basic stuff. I wanted to see where they were at in perspective. And 1-point perspective is arguably one of the easiest. It's just, you have one vanishing point, you have your horizon line, and I did basic shapes, right? I will say this, any shape with an ellipse in perspective is something that has a really weird learning curve to it in perspective. And you'll see a lot of exercises of specifically tackling that in this book. So then I wanted them to just do, okay, so once we did, you know, just general shapes in 1-point perspective, we went in and did something from our desk that we could draw in perspective, and the idea is to get it structurally correct by looking at something from life, but putting it in a different perspective, basically. And I did my eraser. Oh, I just flipped to that page. Okay. Alright, and then, ooh, 2 points perspective. So fancy. So, yeah. Same thing, I wanted to show them, you know, basic shapes in using 2-point perspective. A lot of these concepts that I covered on the first day of class were things that they already knew. I think a lot of high school art classes cover this. Not all of them, but many of them do. Especially if they took like AP art classes in high school or something. More than likely they already went over this, so this was more like a refresher. Again, I had them draw something from their desk in 2-point perspective. I did a giant binder clip that was on my desk. It was like, but I drew this because I wanted to show them, like, how can you, you know, out of a basic shape, which in this case I did a rectangular cube, a long cube, I guess, in 2-point perspective as the basic shape. And I was teaching them kind of like this XYZ method of drawing, where you're kind of viewing the perspective as the grid as, you know, different axes. So you have like the X, Y, and then up and down is Z. Kind of like your 3D modeling as you're drawing. Random doodle. So yeah, a lot of this stuff, I did a lot of these examples because I went over and over again about ellipses specifically. I think later on I go more in depth about that, so yeah. More examples. This was an ink bottle that one of my students had, and I was showing them how to basically do that 3D model drawing. You can see there's like a binding box, so I divided the space into cubes, and then I used that cube to map out like where is the ellipse going to take up space and how to accurately, in proportion to the object, put this into perspective. Right here, I think I went back to this page to use this drawing as an example of how to get started on lighting, but we didn't go over lighting until a lot later, so we'll discuss that later. Same thing here, basic objects in perspective. I think this was their homework. I think this was their first homework to do, was to have 2 pages. So one page was to do 3 basic shaped objects, so it could be like a pen, eraser, phone, and to do 3 basic objects in 1-point perspective, and then another in 2-point perspective, 3 objects each. Then after that, we got a little crazy. So I taught this class in the fall, and something to know about me, I love fall. Yes, I know, I am one of those people that starts looking at Halloween like code orange in the stores by like July. Alright, I wanted to draw a pumpkin. I love fall. I love it so much. And so I thought this would be a great object, actually, not just because 'tis the season or whatever, and I was feeling very much in the spirit, but I also thought it was a good example of an object that you can take from a basic shape and, you know, we're going that extra step of complex shape, right? This is more organic, there's a lot more curves, and there's more detail. So I thought, like, oh, this is actually a good thing for the students to draw in class while I'm drawing, to get, you know, these curves accurately in perspective, in 2-point perspective here. And then here you can see I was also talking about how to do a cast shadow and how that would, you know, flare out the shadow depending on where the light source is. Then in the following one, I took it a step further. And you can see here, I did the same thing. I had a pumpkin candle. Actually, let me go show you guys the candle because it is so cute. I got it at Home Goods. Okay, so this was the candle. I got it at Home Goods for like, I don't know, 20 bucks, something like that. And it's pumpkin spice scented, obviously, and it smells so, you can tell, wow, it is almost all gone. It really smells like pumpkin spice, and I love pumpkin spice. It's so good. But I got it because I was like, this would repurpose as such a great candy dish for trick-or-treaters. So cute. So I brought this in as, like, I don't know, some novelty in the classroom, especially for the morning class. In the morning class, it's very, you know, we're in Washington, and in the morning, it is dreary in the fall. So I just brought it in and I was like, hey, who wants to smell the pumpkin? I don't know. And I also made just for a nice thing to draw. So yes, this was that candle. Same thing though, I did a box and then I mapped up the ellipse within the box, which was my guide on how to make this pumpkin candle in 2-point perspective, right? In this example, I showed them how to do organic shapes, so a lot more curves in an object in perspective. And then this was when I introduced lighting. So with lighting, you would think like, oh, you just gotta focus on where's the light coming from in the sky, and then there you go. But no, in perspective, it is different. Even if you are trying to mimic the sun itself, you still need to draw it out as if it were a lamp, is what I was explaining to my students. So I loved teaching this class. So this was going over lighting again and showing them that depending on where you put your lamp post on your perspective grid is going to show how all of these points around the edge are going to be cast with the light. So what I did here was I showed with one, if the lamp was from here, just from here, shining this way, you're gonna get this ellipse curved shadow. But if the lamp post is placed right here and it's going this direction, you're gonna get more of a rectangular shadow. More ellipses. This was something I did in class because they had to do something from a story, making like a drawing in perspective of where does this person live. I chose Frankenstein, of course. I wish I finished this, but the markers were making me very mad. This is fun. This is making me feel a little less apathetic towards art. This is why I wanted to do this video, because I knew, I was like, if I look at my old stuff, I'll be like, oh, it's like, it takes the pressure away from like, because my art is my business, so it kind of just takes the pressure off that and just like reignites like my inner child a bit, I guess. More stuff in perspective. This is a binder clip upside down, and then this is a Mac mouse. more on shadows. Specifically with ellipses, because this was like, what? It's one of those things that once you get it, you get it. Kind of like driving a stick shift car. Once you get it, you get it. But there's like this weird learning curve of like, oh, okay. And so that's why I went over it quite a few times. And I tried to approach it in different ways so it wasn't so redundant. Like with a martini glass. I was also showing them that, like, depending on what you're drawing, like glass, the shadow is going to be kind of transparent depending on how the light's hitting it. Some personal work. This is a page I did. I had this idea for the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and I was putting my ideas down for this series I was doing. And I was focused a lot on the second rider, War. I wanted the rider to be very masculine, and I draw a lot of women. So I was practicing, not just with horses, obviously, because the 4 Horsemen, but I was also practicing muscles and like feral-looking dogs and things like that. I really had a lot of fun drawing this. And after a while, I was like, I should probably study more male anatomy or just muscular bodies in general. I tend to, like I said, I tend to do more like the curved, soft bodies in my work. Here, I was explaining to my students how lighting and cast shadows would work in a room. In this example, I have a ceiling lamp and I'm showing them, you know, how warped the shadows would be because of the tilt or the angle from the ceiling lamp. And like, what do you do when you have something that would have a shadow on the ground and then go up the wall? Which, again, I would love to do. I would love to do YouTube videos about this. I think that would be a lot of fun. Oh, I was drawing, I had this idea of doing like an absinthe drink and having like spirits coming out of the absinthe goblet or whatever. And then I just turned it into nothing. I think that's what a sketchbook is for, though. It's kind of like the graveyard for ideas. And then if I decide to resurrect them, I do. This was my, I'm gonna flip this over so you guys don't see it. Not that it really matters because this was from a year ago, but it had like student grades on it. And I was making notes of stuff. I had to check in their sketchbooks and stuff. This was when I was teaching them how to do objects that are floating and like how to do cast shadows from floating or flying objects. And I did a floating hovering ghost and then a witch flying on a broom, and showed them how would you calculate the shape and perspective of those shadows. This class was very technical, but it was very rewarding for those who were pursuing their own webcomic. I think it really improved their work because, I mean, they were excellent artists before anyways, but just being able to draw something accurately in perspective and the lighting without a reference. Mary Kay Olsen, I think it's Mary Kate, has the most iconic, I think it's a Birkin bag. It's some Hermes bag. It's either a Birkin or a Kelly. I feel like Kelly's are smaller though. I don't know. But hers is absolutely destroyed and I live for it and I drew it. More horses. This one was gonna be scales. Oh yes! I don't know why, but I just did a time-lapse video of this on my YouTube channel and I got like 14,000 views or something like that on there. Crazy. I wasn't even talking in it. I don't know. It was crazy. But I was studying a lot more muscles and stuff. If you guys want an anatomy tutorial, that's a whole, again, that's another whole playlist I could do of just videos doing anatomy. I mean, I could do a whole video just talking about deltoids. Honestly, I would love that. If you guys would love that, let me know. I have so much fun doing this kind of stuff. It's so fun. Thumbnails for a color theory class I was doing. We had a focal point project. Alright, here we have, so at the studio I'm part of, I have a shared studio space. We were doing a figure drawing night. So we had people in costumes come by and then we drew them. These were 1 minute warm-up sketches. These were 5 minutes. It was so fun. The models even came with a playlist to like set the vibes. So this I think was like 1940s costumes and the next ones are medieval. So they had a playlist for each round. We have 10 minutes and then 20 minutes here. $20. 15 minutes. They even made their own costumes. Crazy talented people. Also artists. 20 minutes. $20 minutes. And then we had another model. This was another day. This one was nude. 2-minute gesture sketches. 2 minutes. She was holding a hula hoop. 5 minutes. This one was really fun. $10 minutes. Random sketch for my sister-in-law. Oh yeah, gosh, I need to give this to her. This is a whole birthday present. That is so late. Oh my god. Yeah. I think that's it. Is that it? Oh my god, yes, that is it. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. This is the last page of this book so far. I definitely have a lot more pages I gotta fill out. So if you guys want some more drawing content, videos where I go a lot more in depth about human anatomy, is a whole, I could do hundreds of videos just on that, on human anatomy, perspective, all that stuff. I know I do a lot of painting videos and process videos, just showing you, you know, here's how I made this thing. But if you guys want more tutorials, or just step-by-step in general drawing videos for realism, I would love to do that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I would also like to do another sketchbook tour video, because this made me realize I accomplished more this last year than I thought. Not to get emotional and like, ew, but I don't know. It helped me to look through what I've done and be like, okay, calm down. It's just August right now. We're gonna be okay. I'm just excited for the fall to come, and I feel like that's when my soul is revived. Yeah. Anyways, if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. And I'll see you next week. Bye!